Thinking about getting chicks? Don't know if you want to get into it or not? Let's hash it out. Welcome to my Homebody Homestead. In this video, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to getting chicks. So first off, I've got some experience when it comes to chicks, raising chicks. I have raised a lot of chicks. If you've seen my bio video called Our Story, in that video I go over how we got chickens, and then we got a rooster and hatching and all of that. So watch that video, I'll put a link. So I've definitely hatched a lot of chicks, and I've seen good, bad, and ugly. So we'll just get started. So the number one reason that I think most people steer clear from chicks is the worst reason of all. They just die. Chicks just die. So you think about an egg. That egg that a hen lays, it's got a yolk in there with the white and everything, and a chick can literally, just with some heat and some moisture, it forms and completely develops and figures out what to do as far as hatching and everything, you know, all on its own. And human babies, they grow in the mother's stomach, you know, with an umbilical cord. The mother feeds the baby nutrients. Chicks, you know, anything that hatches from an egg, everything it needs is in that egg. But, you know, if you think about the complexity of that, one little thing is wrong, and that chick probably isn't going to make it. Now, for most people, that's really hard. It's really hard to come out and see a cute little chick that even if you hatched it, or if you go to your local feed store or Tractor Supply and you pick out 6 chicks and one of them could just die, or maybe 2 of them. And that's heartbreaking. It's really, really heartbreaking. So a lot of people would rather get a chick or a young pullet that's about 3 to 4 months old, and at that point they've gotten through that chick stage, and the danger of walking out and just finding them dead for no reason is gone. When a chick hatches, for the first 48 hours, it doesn't really need to eat or drink. Now, if it has the opportunity, if you take a chick that just hatched and you put it out on grass, it'll scratch. It'll start scratching and pecking and not necessarily getting anything down, but they instinctively do that. So, you know, when I order broilers, it takes 2 days for them once they hatch. They'll grab a batch, however many, I order 50 in a batch. They grab 50 that just hatched, they throw them in a box, well, they don't throw them, but they put them in a box and they ship them out, and they have to get to their final destination within 48 hours, because at that point they're going to start needing food and water. So I mean, that's amazing when you think of one little egg and everything that comes out of that. You know, that's, if one little thing is wrong though, that's it. And chicks are going to be considered the weak. So whenever there's an illness, just like in humans, the elderly and the young and the sick are usually the weakest, and you know, they have the hardest time fighting things off. In chicks, it's the same thing. So I've had very good luck in hatching chicks, but I did have one batch of 12 that I lost all of them. And at the time, to this day, I almost still don't know why they wound up sick and they die. They just one by one. Now the drag about chicks is hatching chicks. So one of the main things about hatching chicks is you have to know, that brings us back to, you know, if there's something wrong in that egg, if there's one element missing, it's going to cause a problem for that chick. So if a chick doesn't hatch on its own, I don't help it. Because what's happened in the past is if I help it, there's a reason that it didn't get out of that egg on its own to begin with, and then I'm taking care of a sickly chick that winds up dying anyway. Every single one that I helped, which has only been just a handful, they've all died. So I don't do that anymore. Another bad thing about hatching chicks is you got a 50-50 ratio, which means chances are you're going to get 50 hens, but you're also going to have 50 roosters. Nobody wants roosters. Unless you're going to eat them. That's all they're really good for. Now, that brings us to, what do you do with them? If you are hatching chicks and you don't have an outlet, a way to sell your roosters, then you're going to have to figure out something. I butcher my roosters. Another thing about chicks to be aware of is that they're brutal. So if a chick just dies for no reason, or you know, there's something wrong with it and you're doing everything right, but it still dies, the other ones are just going to walk all over it. They're going to pretend like it's not even there. They may pick at it out of interest, but then they're just going to walk all over it. So by the time you find it, it's going to be flattened, and that's hard. It's really hard, but they're brutal. I once went into our feed store and saw a batch of chicks in the cage, and there was one that didn't have an eye, and this one was just weird looking, and they were all picking at it. It was too brutal for me. I wanted that chick. I wanted to bring it home and just see what I could do, but we wound up just leaving it. Now, if you're not going to hatch, then you'll be picking up chicks from either a feed store, which I highly recommend, or like a Tractor Supply or something like that. I hatch and I sell chicks, so you know, this is kind of a rough thing to say, but not everybody is going to let you know if they accidentally get chicks that are sick, they're still going to sell them to you. Or maybe they don't know, and then you bring them home and they all die on you. So if you go to somebody like Tractor Supply or something like that, at least you can be guaranteed for your money. And then when you pick up chicks, just realize that sexting chicks is sometimes inaccurate. Humans are doing it, so there's always room for human error. The last batch of Easter eggs I got, one of them was a rooster. Now, out of buying chicks from feed stores and Tractor Supply and Rural King and stuff, this is the first time that I've ever gotten a rooster. But I've heard lots of stories about other people getting roosters, so it happens. So just keep that in mind, that you may go to Tractor Supply and buy yourself 4 little hens and then end up getting one that crows. Happens. Chicks are escape artists. So chicks are teeny tiny. They may stand up and they'll be like this big running around the bottom of the cage, but they can actually get out of an opening this big. They can squeeze through little tiny openings that you never would have thought or you didn't even know were there. So just remember, they can do that, and that when you bring them home, keep a close eye on them until you figure out your enclosure. Some breeds are better escape artists than others. I brought home 4. I like to buy chicks in 4s. I don't know what it is, but I do. And I brought 4 buff Orpingtons home, and 3 of them got out. I ended up with just 1 because the hawks got the 3 that got out. And so I had them in with a bunch of other chicks. It wasn't like I had just these 4 chicks and they got out. There was tons of other chicks in there, but these buff Orpingtons, 3 of them got out. and then I was down to 1, and I just went ahead and sold it because I like my numbers to be even. Now, some things to think about. So if you have a chicken tractor that you are going to be keeping some chicks in, just line the outside with some wood or something. Just put that down, and it's going to be that extra barrier on the outside that if they can't see the outside, they're not going to keep trying to go. So that would help at least keep the sun from coming in. If they see the sun, they're going to keep trying to go for it. So that's one idea, to try to keep them in. Now, one thing to consider about chicks is I find them to be easy. I figured out all of their needs and their quirks and everything like that, so I found them easy. But just know that you should do your full research, because chicks grow up and know what a hen needs and a rooster, whatever it is that you're going to have. And be prepared, because they grow up. They start out, once you get the hang of it, they're so easy and you get so attached, but then it gets more complicated. Now, one thing I want everybody to consider before they buy chicks is they're not very bright. Not that they get much better. Chickens are smart to some degree. They're hardwired in many ways, but they are not smart. And chicks are even worse. So I've had chicks that they do not know how to get out of the rain. They do not know how to watch above their head for hawks. They really just know how to peck, poop, eat, and drink. And peep. Now for the good. I actually, after all of that, I prefer chicks for business purposes. I like, if I'm going to have chickens, I am not going to buy pellets. I like raising chicks. I like hand raising them. I get to figure out their personality from the time they hatch until, they grow into adults. So for me, chicks are my favorite. I prefer hatching them. At this point now I've picked the breed that I want to stick with, and I'm going to have a breeding set, and I won't be buying chicks anymore, except for broilers. Now, the reason that I really like chicks is that I've got everything figured out as far as their quirks, their needs, all of that, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I've gotten figured out. So for me, I really enjoy watching them grow, and once they get to be about 3 to 4 months old, I can sell them. My breed of choice is Lavender Orpingtons. So they're a more extravagant breed, so they're going to be a little more pricey. I like being able to sell them for a little bit more. And they're a dual purpose bird, so they, if you feed them high protein and you feed them right, they can grow to be really big quick, which makes them meat birds. But they also are very beautiful. So if you are into having beautiful yard art, they would fit the category for that. And then I like Orpingtons just because their personalities. I've had many different breeds of chickens, and I like many breeds of chickens. It's just the Orpingtons for me. I love their little personalities. I love the multi-purpose aspect of them, and I've just gotten really used to that particular breed. So for me, I really like chicks. I prefer to get chicks opposed to buying pullets. Just again, because I like being able to get to know the chick, and I like being able, when I breed chicks, I handle them. So when I sell them off, whoever I sell them to, I'm selling friendly, handled chicks that are not skittish, they're not, nervous or anything like that. They're very calm, relaxed, friendly birds, and I like that about the business side of selling chicks. Another thing that I really like about chicks is that their infrastructure is very simple. So for grown chickens, you need something, you know, more enclosed, something that you can coop them up in and control when they come in and out. You need perches, you need nesting boxes and the material for all of that. Chickens, when they get older, they do smarten up some degree, so they're harder to catch, they're harder to keep in. You gotta clip wings to keep them where you want them. You know, they're just more complicated. So I like chicks just because they're so much more simple. They don't need as much space. I can have more of them around. I can easily raise them on my garden, in my garden. So that's
Just keep on.
alright, so that wraps up this video on the good, the bad, and the ugly of chicks. I hope this video helped you make your decision, and I'd really like to know what your decision is. Are you going to go with chicks, or are you going to start with pullets? And then where did you decide to get your chicks? Are you going to go to like your local feed store, Tractor Supply, or are you going to go to a breeder like myself, somebody that you know locally that you can trust? So go ahead and comment in the bottom and let me know what you decided. I'm really curious as to what everybody decided to do. And then let me know if this video was helpful to you. So this is only the first video of a series. My next one is going to be picking your breed. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
What you do, do what you like, do what you